Coach Aubrey here, and today I'm going to talk about hip and knee mobility. Now, I'm not a PT, however, I see common themes among the women that I work with because they're all over 30. Most of them are in their 40s and their 50s, some are older than that. And what I see coming up again and again is they have tight hip flexors and they experience knee pain. So I want to go through some movements that can help you and that don't take all day to do, that are going to keep your mobility in check. Sort of preventative strategies, if you will. So we're going to start with the hip flexors and then we'll move on to the knees. And what I want to note is a lot of times we'll have pain in other areas that are actually caused by tightness in the knees and in the hip flexors. So for example, you might have lower back pain and it has nothing to do with your back. It might be that you have tight hip flexors, so you're being pulled forward, and therefore when you go to do a deadlift or a squat, you injure your back. So it's really important, especially since we sit all day, to open up those hip flexors. When it comes to the knees, we're not used to moving them in any direction other than forward and backward. So we rarely think to move the knee from side to side. So that's what we're going to go over today. Let's start with the hip flexors. We're going to begin with a basic quad stretch. You all have probably all done this. Static quad stretch where you stand, you can use a wall if you need to, and then you bring your foot to your glute. You're going to feel a stretch in your quad, but to get that hip flexor opener, what you're going to do is you're going to line up your knees and you're going to actively take this hip and push it forward like that. So you're leaning your torso back. If not straight, you're leaning it back and you're trying to take this foot and actively pull it to your glute while you shift your hips forward. You should feel a big stretch in that hip opener. So that's a good way to warm up. And then of course you would do the other side. And then you can always add movement into it. I always encourage movement. So once you have that static stretch complete, you can hold the wall and add a little bit of a swinging stretch in there. And what you're going to feel is you're also opening up your adductors when you do this, the muscles on the insides of your legs. So that's how you start off. And then I would always work on the opposing side as well. So once you stretch out the quads, you want to hit the hammies. Now what I do is I keep my legs straight, but my knees soft. And the trick I use is I don't bend my back. Sometimes you see people and they're hunched over trying to stretch their hamstrings, and you can actually miss that entire stretch. What I would do instead, like I said, keep your legs stiff, keep your back neutral. Keep it neutral, neutral, and don't let it curve. So when you get right here, you don't have to fold yourself over into your lap, and you'll feel a strong stretch just by having about 90 degrees here. So, and again, you can add some movement into that. A great way to add a little more flexibility into your hips is to go back and forth like this, and you can be dramatic with it. Really stick your glute out. Stick your glute out. So from the front, it looks like this. And you'll feel it stretching. And the cool part about the movement is you're going to start to feel that stretch come around the sides of your leg. And you're going to discover places that were tight that you didn't even know were tight. So it's a really good stretch. Now we're going to move to the floor and we're going to get a little deeper. I want to point out that I'm in my office. So it goes to show that you can do these anywhere. You can do these at work, you can do these at home, or you can do them in the gym, wherever you want. So let's put the block to the side for a minute, but you will need a yoga mat in just a second, or an object that's similar in shape and size. So here's the other stretch I like. You want to get in a sort of lunge position where the hip that we're opening up, you want to lay it straight on the floor, like this. And how you're going to start is you're just going to lift your torso up, actively try to push that hip lower to the ground. You will improve over time. So you're going to get to where you don't feel much. And then you can add a little extra depth by bringing that foot up and standing up further. I feel a huge opening here now. So that's all hip flexor. And the more you can lean back and really try to push that hip forward, the more of a stretch you're going to feel. And again, you can add movement to it. Go back and forth. I always encourage movement. I just like to start with a static stretch first, just to make sure that I don't move too fast or get hurt. And so do that for both sides. And you'll realize when you add that movement in there, you sink a little deeper each time. Wouldn't that be cool if you did a split? All right, after you do that, this is the last thing you're gonna do. Like I said, this doesn't have to take you long. This could take you 3 minutes. But this part, I would recommend doing before bed. I would recommend doing this when you get home from work, when you're sitting in front of the TV even. Whip out a block or whip out some sort of pillow or something that you can put under your hips. So I'm gonna show you. You're gonna start laying on your back. You're gonna take the block and you're gonna position it right there under your butt. And then you're gonna lay your legs out like this, and you're just gonna melt into the block. So this is at the bottom of my spine. So my lower back is supported, but it's allowing my hips to be higher than my body. So it's stretching them out. And if you think about it, we're sitting all day. So these hip flexors are shortening and shortening and shortening. And this is our way of opening them back up. So we're not used to being in this position. So good for our body. And then you can adjust it. Once you get flexible, put it on a higher setting. Just chill. Watch a show. Just allow yourself to melt. And then when you really get crazy, you can put it up on the highest setting. And there you go. Such a good release. Now let's move on to knees. And to be clear, I am not saying that this is going to completely solve your knee and hip pain. However, if you can incorporate these a little bit every day, I guarantee you're going to prevent yourself from experiencing a lot of pain. So, like I was saying, we're really used to moving our knee in this direction, right? So all we got to do is get more range of motion. That's why people get hurt, because their body is not used to hitting these certain positions. So as you can see, my anatomy is a little different on my hips. So when I get about to here, it's like bone on bone. That's what my PT told me. So some people, you'll see they'll bring their foot like all the way up here. Don't be discouraged if you're pushing and you can't do that. It's probably a structural issue. The only thing is that we're trying to get your knee moving in more directions. So then you can start making circles. You'll feel stretches in kind of interesting places when you do this. You want to do it for both legs. Swing side to side. Move your leg in circles. You can also stand and do it. Some people prefer to do it standing. So that would look like holding onto a wall or something to stabilize you. And then you try to keep your knee in the same point in space, and then just take your foot in circles. You're going to feel a lot going on around here. You'll feel your hip opening in certain areas, feel your adductors working, and then do that for both sides. Give your knee more range of motion. That's all. Do that for a few minutes every day and just watch. You just watch. If you got value, like and subscribe. As always, share me with your friends. And until next time, stay powerful. All right, lady. I'm not even going to put this in WhatsApp. Save this to your phone. Do this every day. Let's see, maybe if you can do it as your movement in the morning, I'm going to break this up so you have something to do in the morning and then something that I highly recommend you do at night. Just as you're chilling, like listening to an audiobook, reading a book, you can do this last part while you're chilling. So the first part, just think from the ground up. This is going to feel small, but if you do this a little bit every day, it's going to make a big difference. So we just need to get the blood moving from the bottom of your body to the top. So start with ankle circles, foot circles, if you will. Just warming it up. You can really hear me popping. Wow. And then think about moving up the body. So if you have time, I recommend you leaning into the wall, stretch out your calves if you'd like to. And then this is the important part. So start with a static quad stretch. The goal is to get your knee in line with the other knee and shift your hip forward. That's a hip opener right there. So you'll find at first, you might feel a really big stretch here, nothing here. But the more we lengthen this muscle, the more you're going to be able to get to that hip stretch. And then do the other side. And I would just watch this and like pause this video as you go. And then add a little movement. Don't jerk your leg back and forth, but just add a little motion. Challenge yourself, you know, try to bring it up as far as you can and back, but don't be like too jerky with it. I don't want you to hurt yourself. And then anytime we stretch the anterior, we want to then stretch the posterior. We want to keep them balanced. So then you're going to lengthen your hamstrings. The way I want you to do this is I don't want you to curl your back like this. Some people do this, like I can't even feel this in my hamstrings. So keep your knees straight. Don't lock your knees out. Keep them soft. Keep your back straight and just hinge forward. This is as far as I have to go. I feel a stretch all in my hamstrings. So stay in the static stretch for at least 30 seconds. If you want to do more, that's great. Stay in it for up to 3 minutes if you want. But for time's sake, at least get 30 seconds. And then you want to add movement, kind of like a sassy lady. You know, you want to back and forth. You're going to feel this creep up into your glutes. So I would do this for about 30 seconds as well and really get into it. Like the more I shift my weight from hip to hip, I'm feeling a stretch in my hips here. All right, so do that. And then you're all loosened up here. This is the fun part. Put your arms overhead and just make big circles, big dramatic circles with your body. Again, we're just trying to get your blood moving for the day. We want to stretch your full body out, but especially the hips and the knees. Like this. I would do each way for about 20 seconds. So you got full blood flow. Throw these in here. Static tricep stretch. 30 seconds here. 30 seconds here. And then this is the last part. Find a wall. I'm just going to make one. Put your arm up against it. You've probably already seen this. And then slightly lean into it to open up your pec right here. Just like that. And then if you want to end with some of these, go for it. Do that in the morning. And I might not have explained this, but the reason why I'm not putting this in PTD is because if you do this every day, you're going to progress fast and we're going to change it up. So at nighttime, this is what I would do. So that first one is morning time. This one is nighttime. And you can do these, you can do the morning one within 3 to 5 minutes, I think. So I would do that with your power hour and then do this before you go to sleep because you've been at work all day. You've been sitting, you've been driving. Start by just laying on the floor like this and then put your hands here and then just push yourself up as high as you can. If you can get your belly button off the ground, that's the goal. So right here, if you want to get really crazy, you can roll your shoulders back, maybe look up, but that's going to stretch your abs and your hip flexors. What we're going to work towards, spoiler, is we're going to get to where you have a knee up like this. So that's what we're working towards. Watch you be like, oh, I can already do that. That would be awesome. Once you do this, we're going to move to putting a leg here like this. But we're not doing that now. Just for now, go here. All right, so that's one. You got 3 things to do at night, but they're simple. This is like after the kids go to bed. This is like your wind down time. So you've got your warm up time first thing in the morning, then you have your wind down time. And then do like you did in that video. Take your knee, move it in every direction like this. Because your knee is used to going forwards and backwards like this. It's not used to going side to side. That's tied into your hips. So move it in every direction. I would do each one for 30 seconds to 3 minutes if you can. This one feels a lot different. Do that on both sides. 2 options for the last thing. So those are non-negotiables. The morning routine and what I just showed you. Do those every day. if you want to add on, it will be helpful. So I'm going to show you some bonuses. I'll send them in another video. So the first trick, it's the one where you just lay on the ground like this, bend your knees, lift your hips up, put the block under, and just let yourself relax. You'll feel a stretch here. If you don't, take your legs wider and put your arms over your head. Feels so good. Now, once you get more flexible and your hips get more open, you'll change the setting to right here. And then you'll change it to up here. So again, this is what we're progressing to. You want to eventually get to here. For right now, just stay here. And you can do this for like up to 30 minutes. You can just lay here, watch a Netflix show, whatever. The other thing I'm going to show you, instead of foam rolling, I think you're going to like this more. I don't know if you and I have ever talked about scraping, but you can scrape yourself. So you can use something like this, anything that's got like a pretty thin edge that's sturdy, or if you got like the side of a spatula, that'll work. The best way for you to do this is in shorts or underwear and rub. Baby oil is perfect, but you don't have to get that fancy if you don't want to. Lotion works fine too. But all you're gonna do, you can sit there, watch TV, you can sit there and read, like I was saying. And it doesn't have to hurt, but just go back and forth like this. You're not pushing really hard, you're just going fast. Give enough pressure, but you're just going fast. And then you can kind of turn to the side. You can do this to the side of your knees, right here. You can do this under your knees, because you have muscles all around there. You can do it on the side, especially the tie-in location. It's just such a big tie-in location. But especially if you can work out here on your IT band, or you can do it single arm, but you're gonna feel it. Like it's not gonna be as painful as foam rolling, but the name of the game is consistency. So just all around the side, and you just want to imagine with your mind, like that IT band, and just imagine that muscle, the quad, just melting off, because that's what'll happen. So let's start there, and just remember, this last video is optional. So don't feel like you're a failure if you're not getting these in. I just want to give you a little extra if you feel crazy, but definitely do the first two. You got this.